Welcome to episode 46 of Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. I really hope that you're enjoying today. I mean, the sun is shining for a change here in Ireland. And yeah, as soon as I publish this episode, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the evening out in the garden. And I really hope that you're doing something to make the most of your day too. Ever since I did my book summary of Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, I've been wanting to share more of the books that I'm reading with you. And The One Thing by Gary Keller is one book that comes up time and time again when I'm talking to people about, what's the one thing you can do that makes everything else unnecessary or easier to do. And that's something I wanted to share with you today. The key lessons that I learned from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. In The One Thing with Gary Keller, he introduces this powerful concept on how to transform your approach to productivity and success. And when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it all, it's about narrowing your focus and identifying the one thing that will have the biggest impact. Let's imagine you're sitting at your desk and you're staring at a mountain of work to do. You have deadlines approaching, you have meetings to attend, and you have this never-ending list of tasks on your to-do list. It's so overwhelming. It almost feels impossible to progress. And this is exactly what it was like for the author, for Gary Keller in the book. He found himself in this situation early on in his career. And he was struggling to juggle all these, all these projects around him. And he felt constantly pulled in different directions. And that's when he had a breakthrough. He realized that the key to success was not in doing more things, but in doing the right things. He understood that focusing on one thing at a time could lead to remarkable results. This realization, the focusing on one thing at a time, became the foundation of his book, The One Thing. Now, let's focus on the key lessons that you can learn, especially if you're a high achiever or a high performer, that you can get from The One Thing. First question is the focusing question. This helps you to identify your one thing, the task that will have the most significant impact on your goals and your aspirations. So by asking yourself the focusing question, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier to do or unnecessary? And using this approach, it's a great way of cutting through the clutter and getting to the heart of what truly matters to get this task done. It helps you to prioritize your task and make informed decisions about where you want to invest your time and energy, rather than keeping busy going through hundreds and hundreds of emails and following up on emails. You're getting down to the nitty gritty. You're getting down to what will I get the most return on investment on my time and my energy by completing this task? What will have the greatest impact? What will have the greatest outcome? It helps you, it guides you through the tasks and helps you recognize the ones that will bring you the greatest results and help you to eliminate all the distractions and unimportant activities that can really derail your progress. The next lesson, after the focusing question, the next lesson is the domino effect. So just as a small push on a domino can set off a chain reaction, accomplishing the one thing can have a similar effect on all areas and goals in your life. So when you focus on your one thing, the one thing that makes everything else easier to do or unnecessary, when you focus on that one thing and achieve it, it creates a positive momentum that spills into other tasks and goals. So by concentrating on the most impactful task, you set off a chain reaction of progress, making everything else easier to accomplish as well. So this really helps to maximize your productivity and gain momentum towards larger objectives. I'm trying to think of an example here. Let's say, I think it comes back to give yourself some leeway, starting off with the smallest, most ridiculous thing. That's the first domino. Be it your glass of water first thing in the morning. You're setting yourself off to a good start. It's your first win of the day. And it's like, hey, if I can start off with that one glass of water, I'm helping to detoxify my body, rehydrate my brain, help me think clearly. And that mental clarity sets you up for making better decisions throughout the day. So you're setting yourself up for success first thing in the morning, or even smiling in the mirror. You're already releasing those endorphins. You're setting yourself up positively to take on the day, whatever life throws at you. And just by pushing that one small domino, it's going to set a chain reaction into how the rest of your day progresses. So we have the focusing question, domino effect. Next is time blocking. And time blocking is a technique where you allocate specific blocks of your time on your calendar, be it on a day, on a week basis, that are solely to work on your one thing. So during these time blocks, you eliminate all distractions. Don't look at your Facebook, don't look at your Instagram, don't look at your emails. You immerse yourself completely into focused, uninterrupted work on your one thing. So by implementing this time blocking strategy, you create a structured and disciplined approach to how you manage your time. It goes beyond just time management. It's prioritizing how you manage your time, that nothing else is going to distract you from completing your one thing. And by prioritizing this and putting up a guard against the temptation of getting sidetracked by Instagram notifications or TikTok or your email, you're cultivating this deep work and this state of flow where you can produce your best work and make significant progress towards your goals. You taking this time and prioritizing to focus on the one thing and see this one thing to completion sets you up for success rather than keeping busy and constantly checking your emails. Oh, maybe someone has replied. Oh, maybe I should check in that notification. When was the last time I checked my Instagram? They're not going to serve you as much as focusing on the one thing. You focus on the one thing, you get clarity on the one thing. And you know that by focusing on the one thing, it's going to have an effect on all the other areas of your life with the domino effect. And then by blocking off time and prioritizing it, you know that, okay, I'm dedicating myself to completing this, to completing my one thing, because I know it's going to have an effect in other areas of my life. And I'm prioritizing it over emails, over Facebook, over Instagram. Putting that discipline in place is going to serve you in other areas of your life as well. You're going to have a ripple effect, a domino effect on that discipline of time blocking. Now, let's go through some examples of how you can apply the one thing. Let's take, for example, if you're an entrepreneur and your one thing might be launching a new product. Ask yourself the focusing question and identify what are the critical steps that need to be accomplished to achieve this goal of launching a new product. Then dedicate specific time blocks on your calendar for each step. So, for instance, it could be conducting market research, designing the product, and then implementing a market strategy. Or maybe you're a student and your one thing might be passing a challenging exam. So break it down into smaller tasks like studying specific topics, practicing sample questions, and seeking clarification on difficult subjects or concepts. Now allocate focused time blocks for each task, ensuring that you're dedicating your undivided attention to mastering those subjects, mastering those topics, mastering this material. I think when it comes to at the end of the day, the key to success is the consistency. Make focusing on your one thing a daily habit. Block off time in your calendar consistently and prioritize your one thing above all else during those time blocked periods. Because over time, the consistent practice will yield much better results and help you achieve the success you're looking for by focusing on the one thing. Again, this is all repetition, focusing on the one thing, realizing that by focusing on the one thing, it's not just focusing on the one project, it's going to have a domino effect, a ripple effect into all other areas of your life. Focus on the one thing. And time block, dedicate time specifically to doing something. Just get that deeper work on the one thing today. Imagine for a minute if you consistently applied the one thing concept in your life. Would you be more confident at effortlessly going through your tasks, prioritizing the one thing to accomplish your goal? And you'd be constantly getting remarkable results and experiencing this new sense of clarity and fulfillment, not mindlessly and aimlessly trying to just be busy at your tasks. If you're not practicing the one thing, how does this affect you now? If you're overwhelmed by your tasks and you don't know how to get started on the one thing, are you spreading yourself too thin? Are you prioritizing the right things? Are you just being busy and spending a lot of time being busy, but not actually seeing the results come in? You kind of have to take a moment to step back and consider the impact that focusing on the busy things rather than focusing on the one thing are having on your life. So start today just by asking yourself that one focusing question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be unnecessary or easier to do? Just that one question. And let that sit with you. Map it out. Do a brainstorm or mind map or web it out and see what's that one thing in the middle that will help me make everything else easier to do or unnecessary. And once you've done that today, make it a priority. Block off some dedicated time somewhere in your day, be it 15, 20 minutes to focus on that one thing uninterrupted. And see if you keep that up consistently, what change that is going to make in your life. And yes, at first, it probably is going to be difficult because you have all these distractions that you're used to in your environment, between your phone going off, notifications, emails coming in from your manager, from your colleagues, and you have to try and find a time block where you turn off these notifications, where you go on do not disturb or focus mode and completely focus on just the one thing. And finally, track your progress, because that's one thing where people feel lost, is when they try to focus on the one thing and they try to dedicate time to it, but they don't see any progress. Whereas if you track the days that you're consistently time blocking and focusing on your one thing, you can see that you are making steady progress and it's easier to stay consistent. This self-awareness of the time that you're dedicating to your one thing will help you to stay motivated and to stay on track. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and be it a very brief summary of the one thing. If you do want to pick up the one thing, it's The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I do recommend, if you do have the time to read the book, it goes into so much more detail, or more than just these 3 key lessons. But these were my takeaway points that I got from the book that really helped me to help stay on track when I find myself overwhelmed or stressed while trying to take on too much at once. I try to focus on the one thing and recognize that focusing on that one thing will have a ripple effect in other areas of my life. And all I need to do is prioritize, dedicate, time block, and focus on that one thing, and then I'll see progress over time. I must stay consistent. So if you want to dive more into talking about the one thing, if you want to pick up the book, or you can book a call with me and we can have a deeper conversation on how you can get clarity on your one thing to gain that self-awareness on Where should you be focusing your attention right now? And yes, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I look forward to sharing more of these books and giving a few key takeaway lessons and sharing them with you all. So until next time, make sure you have your glass of water today. Get out, get some fresh air, take a walk in nature, and challenge yourself. Maybe take a step forward. Instead of smiling in the mirror, smile at a loved one, smile at a friend, smile at family, smile at a stranger, and see how that makes them feel. That's your challenge for today. All right, until next time, take care.